Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to change the landscape of podcasting as you know it in professional wrestling. This is the Game Changer Podcast. Featuring the greatest asset to come out of Canada, the legendary Mr. Fretz.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best ever will be.
I love myself. There's something so condescending to the champ to get out of my ring.
They think they got the answers. I change the questions.
I did it all by my sweet little self. Two-time Slammy Award winner. I knew it. I'm a winner. I did it. Woo!
As well as featuring yours truly, the Game Changer, NateFNGreat.
I've had it! It's time for you to start listening to somebody else, and that somebody else is going to be me, and it's going to be right now!
The dirty secret is you need this generation more than it needs you.
You're not going to come out here and talk about how it should have been you, it should have been me, it should have been you, it should have been you, it should have been you, it should have been you 8 years ago, and it was kind of, then it wasn't, and it's not going to be again, and it's not going to happen. Just get over it!
I am the best on this microphone, in that ring, even in commentary. Nobody can touch me.
We change the game one day at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're ready, let's do this.
What's going on, guys? This is Zach, your host of the Young Lions Perspective Podcast, and you are listening to the Game Changer Podcast on Wrestle, Addict, Radio.
You know what they say, it's all about that money, that money, yeah. Welcome to this episode of the Game Changer Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, a part of Wrestle Addict Radio, who you can check out at Addict_Wrestle on the Twitter, as well as on Instagram and the Facebook. Of course, we are the Game Changer Podcast. I am NateFNGreat, being joined here by the Maverick Drake to my Ethan Carter III. He is Mr. Fretz. How's it going, good sir?
Well, not bad, brother. Not bad at all. We lifted a few restrictions up here in the Great White North. Campgrounds will be opening, I think, with, practices in effect. Some of you might know I live on a beach. I live near, there's a campground a block from my house. So, yeah, the tourists are coming up. I welcome it. COVID be damned. Let's have a good time and let's be careful. So, yeah, I thought I had something else there, or a punchline, or a birthday or something, but I don't think I do. So
maybe it'll come.
Cheers.
Maybe it'll come during the show. But yeah, I know that there's been a couple businesses up here that are going to be reopening, and who knows? I think we're probably going to have some safe practices as far as places to eat and places like where I work with my company with a phone store. We've definitely been taking extra precautions on that, so we're definitely still in a bit of a rut. We're in a better rut than what we were before. I don't know if the curve is going down, but if it isn't, then we're in for a long year, ladies and gentlemen. But We're not here to talk about the negatives. We're here to talk about some of the positives and some of the great things that happened this past week in professional wrestling. And one of the major positives was, in my opinion, this past Sunday, Money in the Bank. One of the more memorable as well as the more entertaining shows that I've seen in quite some time. Who knew that WWE could put on an entertaining show? We're going to do a little review of this. We're going to just go through some of these matches. We're definitely going to put heavy emphasis on the Money in the Bank, corporate Money in the Bank ladder matches, because, my God, there's so much to talk about with that.
Climbing the corporate ladder.
Hey, grabbing that imaginary brass ring that CM Punk was talking about. Oh, is that too soon to talk about that? Okay.
It's been 10... Dude, the pipe bomb was 9 years ago. It's not too soon.
Fair enough. So we kick off the pre-show with Jeff Hardy versus Cesaro. In all honesty, what can I say about this match other than the fact that Cesaro should be a world champion by now? Jeff Hardy, he looked pretty good. There was one spot that I actually was very impressed by where Jeff Hardy was going to do a Whisper in the Wind off the steel steps. Cesaro catches him. He basically flips Jeff Hardy up into the air and he lands on the barricade. That was just a bit of a scary spot, but also an awesome spot that shows the strength of Cesaro. Of course, he's also just being Mr. Mayor of Uppercut Town. We'll think of something else, because of course we got Suplex City, Claymore Country, Arcade, Viperville. There's gotta be something for uppercuts. But in all honesty, this was a pretty good matchup. Jeff Hardy wins with the Swanton Bomb. A lot of people were definitely questioning why it wasn't Sheamus, because they need to build that up apparently. Because reasons. Match itself, I give it a thumbs up. I give it a good thumbs up. It wasn't anything like too spectacular, but it was definitely one of those matches that showcased, Jeff Hardy's returning, and also having a great worker like Cesaro in it always gives it like extra add-on points. So pretty good. Fretz, what do you got to say about this match?
I didn't watch the pre-show.
Okay.
By the time I got home from work, the literally Money in the Bank just started. Okay. I got home just in time. I got my grub. I got my beer. I showered all the nasty off me because retail. I was watching my buddy John Ritland at Real Honesty with John Ritland YouTube. Check it. I've plugged him before, folks. Check him out. But as I said, viewer discretion is advised. His humor is not for everybody. He's kind of dark, but otherwise he's a really fine dude from over in the West Coast. From his review, I'll listen to his word sometimes. Wasn't a fan of this match. I heard from various other reviews that this match wasn't that good, just because Jeff Hardy's old, man. He's not what he was in 2000, because I'm reviewing Hardy Boys matches from 2000, and oh my gosh, I'm getting to TLC in the 20 Bell Salute in 3 months, so that's fun. Cesaro should be a champion. Uppercut Beach, that's what we're going to call it. Just because I live on one, just for a cheap plug. Yeah, Cesaro, Jeff, on paper, even 10 years ago on SmackDown, this match would have been amazing because, oh man, Claudio, have you seen some of his old Ring of Honor stuff, namely with Chris Hero as the Kings of Wrestling?
I've seen a couple of them.
Okay, because he can still go now, but man, in his younger days, like that, what was that friggin' no hands airplane spin he did to Gulak at Mania?
I think it was called like the UFO or something like that, but... Yeah,
exactly. Ungodly. And the fact that this man isn't in the main event, we're going to get there, but with the Intercontinental title being held by the greatest champion of all time vacant, he's my choice for the, Intercontinental champion.
Vacant is going to be the official Intercontinental champ. Oh wait, he is? Fuck. And there's the E for explicit content. Thank you so much. We go into the first matchup here, which is the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. The New Day defending against the... You know what? I'm gonna try to recreate this as the Twitter poll that I did when the event was going on. It's going to be the Booty Boys versus the team we forgot even existed versus team Hey Hey Ho Ho and the Lucha Guys. So it's a 4-way matchup between them, and honestly, this was a great way to start off the show. There's a lot of high-impact moments. Everybody gets a really good amount of time to actually get their spots in. I mean, Lucha House Party, my God, they showed that they can go, that they belonged. For the longest time, we just thought, hey, they're dudes with piñatas. They're funny. This is one of those moments where where after watching the match, I'm like, okay, they're legit a threat after this matchup. Miz and Morrison, they do their classic deal. Forgotten Sons, this was kind of their, I guess you could say, welcoming party, per se. Big E and Kofi definitely took a lot of spots from the other teams, which was great, because it shows that they want the tag team division to just flourish so much more on SmackDown. In the end, though, Big E would hit the big ending. I believe it was on Lince Dorado, or it might have been Grand Metalik. It was one of the Lucha House Party guys, I know that. For the win, New Day retain. Honestly, I gave it 2 thumbs up. It was a really good matchup. I enjoyed the chemistry that a lot of these guys had. I loved that they definitely were very well balanced. It was a pretty good matchup. And only 12 minutes, not bad. I think it definitely showcases that the SmackDown Tag Team Division is shaping up into something very special. Fretz, what did you think of this match?
I thought it was a really fun match. These 4 teams I thought meshed well together. As some people call them, the Forgotten Trumpers. We don't get political here. I'm not judging you. I'm not judging you if you're MAGA, but fuck Trump. Anyways, there's Eva explicit right there again. And for once, I didn't start it. Wow. I must have gone to confession. Yeah, I like the Forgotten Sons. I love who is it? Gunner as like the heavy for them.
Jackson Riker, but I refuse to call him that. I'm still calling him Gunner. I don't care.
Yeah, but then I'll get confused with Gunner Scott, who was guy OVW. I can't think of his shoot name, but he was in Ring of Honor, and that guy, his matches with Punk, like in OVW, wow. Albright, there it is, Brand Albright. He reminds me. I'll get confused with him because I didn't watch Gunner era TNA. Anyways, I love that the Lucha House Party are a legitimate threat and not just a comedy act with Russo's Piñatas from WCW 2000, which I'm also looking at this month on the 20 Bell Salute. Let's see. I'm just going to stall for time here because I got a funny joke. I got WCW. I got WWE this month. I got Judgment Day. What happened in WCW? Vince Russo. Not Vince Russo. Arquette wins the WCW title. Shit. So I loved this. There's one thing I would change about this match.
Okay.
Elimination.
Oh, so instead of being like sudden death, it would be okay.
I would have loved to see this as an elimination spot. It would see, which team would go the furthest. I thought if this was elimination, hypothetically, that the Forgotten Sons would get down to the wire with the New Day, and then you'd hit the big ending or the midnight hour. They'd come up short, and then you'd see what's their names. Guy that used to be Buddy Murphy's tag team partner, Blake.
Wesley Blake, yeah.
And who I can't. Anyways, Wesley Blake, a former tag team champion. You forget about that, Blake and Murphy. I wish it was elimination, but this was fine. If this is what your tag division is going to look like on SmackDown, okay, maybe a little bit more variety in the tag division, maybe 2 more teams, but that's just me. I loved it.
No, definitely. I think that it served its purpose the way it was. Because I think that if it was elimination tag, I could see Lucha House Party just being eliminated maybe 3 minutes. And then
you just say 3 minutes?
I wish I would have thought that through more. But I just don't think that Lucha House Party would have been considered as much of a threat as they would in this sudden death style matchup. If they were just eliminated in a couple minutes, it'd be like, oh, that's just a random team, whatever. I think that this actually helped all the teams that were involved. It definitely protected, I guess you could say, the Forgotten Sons, because maybe they're going to be the ones that dethrone the New Day. Who knows? Maybe they'll go back to Miz and Morrison. Who knows? Will they go to Lucha House Party? Maybe give them a couple more matches, and then it can be okay. We can fully get behind these guys, because this is only like the first time we've seen them looking like a threat. And also, our good buddy Mr. Wade actually pointed out that the Lucha House Party were the Go Power Rangers in this matchup, because they had some really good Power Rangers inspired gear, which was awesome.
Yeah, friggin' I saw Dorado's Instagram, and he was dressed up as the White Ranger, as Tommy. And me being a big OG Power Rangers, I only watched it until like the movie with Ivan Ooze.
Oh yeah,
and then they got those new Zords, which I already forget what they were. That movie was a sack of crap, but
I mean, I'm definitely not going to deny that, because looking back at it, the CGI was bad. The new powers, even like the original powers that they had, it's like, when did they ever have, flashlights in the helmets and night vision deals? Or like, what is this?
That was that was Lord Zed, man. Lord Zed had like
no. If you remember, they had the they were looking for like these like creatures. And I think it was the Yellow Ranger. She had like flashlights on her helmet, and then the Red Ranger had like this night vision deal for his. It was just one of those things where like, oh, they're finding these creatures, and then they got to the final showdown. Also, can we state the fact that those suits looked awful, because they looked like just shiny, looped up, like original Power Ranger suits? It's like, why?
It was 1995 CGI, so
yeah, that's fair. That is very fair. That is something. I think that's something for another day for us to discuss on this wrestling-related podcast, to talk about Ranger. Oh my gosh! Honestly, though, I think that if Tommy, the original, what's his real name? Jason
David Frank.
Thank you. I got stuck on the middle name. If Jason David Frank were to like come into WWE for like a one-time deal, I'd be okay with that. Just have him come in and do like what Hugh Jackman did for Zack Ryder. Just have him just punch somebody or just do like a kick to somebody. Although Jason David Frank is also an MMA, so he probably could.
CM Punk.
the match we wanted but never got. Oh my gosh, that would have been awesome. So we go from awesome to not so awesome, as we get an impromptu matchup with R-Truth versus MVP, or so we thought. Also, I thought MVP was retired, but apparently not. MVP introduces R-Truth's real opponent, that being the one and only Bobby Lashley, who is Will Tereshaw's favorite person, if you ever listen to the Kings of the Rings podcast. There's so many moments in Lashley's recent run where he's just forgotten about it. I even made a comment on Twitter where I just said, so he forgets a lot of Lashley moments. I wonder if he remembers that Lashley had a match when we went to WrestleMania. And then the Kings of the Ring podcast replied, they said, yeah, didn't he face like Demon Balor or something like that? It's like, yeah, it was about as memorable as Kurt Angle's final matchup. So sad. Yeah, very sad. Final match in WWE, let me state that. If I was to say, like, final matchup in what is like WCPW or Defiant Wrestling, whatever it's called, TNA, that's a different story. But yeah, this was just the reason why I bring all this up is because this matchup was just stupid from the start. First of all, R-Truth doing his classic audience deal where he's rapping and trying to get the audience involved. I personally thought that was funny. Because it fits his character, it fits his persona. He's the crazy guy. He's the one who's oblivious to so many things. It works for him. Probably in his mind, the little Jimmies are probably just screaming, "What's up?" So why not? But yeah, Lashley beats down on R-Truth, hits a spear, 1, 2, 3. That's it. And overall, thumbs down. This was just a waste of a matchup. I get it. They probably wanted to do it as a filler deal, but at the same time, this felt like a waste of everybody's time. We will never get that minute and 40 seconds back.
I'm going to be honest with you, Nate. I was taking a dump during that match. Speaking of...
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I knew I had to go, and I'm like, what's next? R-Truth. See ya. I mean, no offense. I love R-Truth. I love him going to nobody. And then, wait, was it this night or Raw that he cut the promo on Tom Brady? Like, I'm getting my 24/7 title back, Tom Brady.
That was on that night, because I do remember he got beaten up, and then he made it seem like he won somehow, which I thought was hilarious. It's just one of those things where it's like he got speared so hard he thought he won. But then again, he didn't lose to MVP, so I guess you could make that claim. That he has that picture of him holding the 24/7 title, and yeah, he mentioned, he's like, I'm going to pin you, Tom Brady. He just runs off, and Charlie's just like, I think he means Grunk. To which I'm just like, oh my god, if R-Truth just comes back and just says like, no, Tom Brady, that would have made the thing amazing.
If he pins Tom Brady, I don't know what I'll do. I mean, here's the thing. Jermaine, this is for you, buddy. I'm a Chiefs fan. To see anything happen to Tom Brady, outside of anything harmful, because I'm a human being, I mean, that'd be funny. I mean, Tom Brady's cameo in Ted, come on, that was awesome.
That was amazing.
If he pins, aren't Gronk and Tom Brady teammates in Tampa now?
They are.
They both. Okay, so hypothetically, this has to happen at like a practice. So this happens in the middle of a fucking game. A, I will laugh. B, I will laugh again. Zach, OILP, that's for you. And I will laugh and I'll laugh and I'll laugh my ass off. But if he sits there and he pins Tom Brady and Gronk's just like, dude, but he won't win. He'll just pin him for nothing. That's such an R-Truth. That's such an R-Truth thing to do. And I don't even want to talk about the stupid fake teeth crap he was wearing when he was like Randy or something.
Oh, jeez.
No, dumb.
Yeah, because I think it was like capitalizing off his TikTok or something like that. Just, it works in short spurts. If you put it in wrestling, it sucks. It does not stick.
TikTok angers and confuses me. I'm 36, so I have an excuse.
Fair enough. Next matchup we have on here is the SmackDown Women's Championship matchup. Tamina challenging Bayley, with Sasha Banks at ringside. And honest to God, I still am laughing at our conversation that we had on Sunday, where I just basically said, okay, Sasha Banks with her attire, she looks kind of like a dominatrix, and Bayley just looks like a rejected Power Ranger. And then you followed up by saying, like, all we need is for Tamina to put on the hat, she could look like Rita.
After 10,000 years, I'm free.
Yeah,
it's time to conquer Earth. Sorry, I'm going back to my childhood. I'm eating a big bowl of Captain Crunch in front of my TV right now.
Oh, my God. This is turning into a very Power Rangers themed episode, and I love it.
Power Rangers.
Oh my gosh. I think I might just entitle this episode the Power Rangers episode just because of these references.
It's Morphin time.
Oh yes. It presents It's Morphin Time with Nate and Fretz. Oh my gosh. I will say this, that my favorite season of Power Rangers by far has been Power Rangers in Space. I know there's probably some people who will be like, no, Lost Galaxy. Space was the best. I'm sorry, but that was the one. I mean,
OG.
Yeah, I know. You had the OG, which still had some good stories and good characters, but Spaceman, that just combined everything. Good storytelling. You had it in space. You had some great characters. You had it in space. You had some great villains. Did I mention that you could have it in space? I feel like I should preface this that.
I have a question.
Sure, what's up?
Were these guys in it?
Oh my gosh. Nostalgia Critic's favorite comedy duo.
If this has Bulk and Skull in space, I'm turning this recording off right now and watching it.
I will say this. I think that Bulk and Skull are in there scarcely. They're still in it. They pop in like every now and then, but they're not like heavily featured like they were in the original ones. So if that's enough for you, then great. We're getting off topic here. What? Oh wait, that's because this matchup.
Don't we always?
Yeah, that's true. So this matchup itself, it was decent. It was actually a better matchup than I gave it credit for. Tamina definitely looked strong in this matchup. I was thinking to myself, if Tamina wins, I'd be okay with that, because this is a woman who actually has been just shafted for so long. She definitely deserves at least one run, maybe like a couple of them. I remember listening to those wrestling girls, and they mentioned Tamina and saying, like, if she had like a brief title run for like maybe 2-3 months, that'd be fine. For me, I'd be down for that. In all honesty, I would love to see Tamina win the title and then maybe like defend it every single week that she's holding it, just to prove her dominance. I think that'd be awesome. That's just me. That is not what happened in this matchup. What happened in this matchup is that Sasha, Dominatrix Sasha, I should say, she basically got involved. Tamina chases around Sasha. Bayley gets involved. It looks like Tamina's going to hit the Samoan drop, but then Bayley counters into a crucifix deal for the 1-2-3, picks up the win, retains the championship. Like I said, it was better than expected. I still give it like one thumb up. I thought it was okay. Nothing really like too major kind of hit me here. I did like a couple moments where Karen was getting kind of scared, and she's basically just like, no, don't hurt me. And I was actually kind of curious what they were going to do with Tamina's, quote unquote anger management deal, because it kind of looked like a female version of the Fiend and Bray Wyatt, which, trust me, we're getting to that. I honestly thought they were going to do something with it, but because she lost, I do not see them doing anything with that. It's weird. Like I said, thumb up. Didn't really do too much for me, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was just not too good.
Yeah, this was fine, but not as fine as Sasha. In that, like, in the words of our good brother Zach, YLP podcast, I am just a man. I am merely just a man. Oh, damn! Love you, YLP.
Oh, that's great.
You're killing it more than Karrion Kross, which, oh my gosh, we should talk about that later.
We are definitely going to.
Yeah. So this match was fine. I mean, Tamina is okay. I mean, she's battled injuries through her career. Like, every step forward would get about 22 steps back just because of injury or booking or something. Like, when she started, did you know that when she started, was it her? I'm just trying to remember. Did she manage the Usos?
She did.
That was her. Okay. I thought I was getting her mixed up with Rosa Mendez, but I'm not sure. But yeah,
Rosa Mendez and the Usos. Can you imagine?
Rosa Mendez was with the Colognes, I think.
Shining Stars, the Caribbean.
For like a week. Oh yeah, the Shining Stars that just got released. Maybe it took 3 years to get the facts down to Puerto Rico. I don't know. Yeah, this was okay. I mean, Tamina can go. I mean, she's 40-something, so I mean, she's not what she used to be. But when you get older, you're not. I mean, if you watch The Last Ride, which is probably going to be another conversation later, it happens with age. She could carry people in the ring and, not injure people like someone that we know who might be related to Nia Jax, but actually isn't. Former tag team partner of hers. Yikes. Bayley pulling off the squeaky win is fine. I still think that we're going towards Sasha and Bayley, which might not be in Boston, because, I've heard rumor and innuendo about the mayor of Boston talking about not having sports well into 2020. So if we see a neutral site with, let's say hypothetically, August is 3 months from now?
About roughly, yeah.
Okay, so just to preface this, up in Ontario here, we have a 4-phase plan for reopening the province, and I think we're just about to start phase 1.
Okay.
Phase 4 is where we can start having spectators. Phase 1, we can have non-contact sports with no spectators. Mm-hmm. So tennis. We could film Wimbledon at the tennis rackets down the street from my house. Mm-hmm. So there you go. That's an example. I forget what the others are. Unfortunately, hair salons are well into phase 3, I think. Dear God, I need a haircut. I need it so bad. And when I do, I'm going stone cold bald.
Damn.
I'm warning you right now, but I liked it. It moved on the division and the rivalry and the tension that we're going to see. So, cool.
Fair enough. Next up, we have the Blue Universal Championship matchup. Braun Strowman defending against Mr. Rogers himself, Bray Wyatt. No sighting of the Fiend here, which in honesty is probably a good thing. But still, Bray Wyatt held his own, and he still did it in a freaking red sweater. How is he not burning up in that red sweater? Because, of course, the Performance Center is in Florida, and you cannot say that it is, like 70-some degrees. No, it's usually like 90 degrees. So they better had like some good air conditioning during that time. But, again, how do you expect to wrestle when you're wearing a freaking red sweater? But the matchup itself, it was good. It was not exactly what I was expecting. It was not the squash that I think we were predicting last week, but it definitely was different. We got a little bit of physicality between Bray and Braun, very equally matched, which was actually pretty good. The turning point at the end was basically Braun Strowman. He is outside the ring. Bray Wyatt's in the ring. He's just basically telling Braun, just accept it. Here comes Braun. He's got the sheep mask on. He comes up, and Bray's just all happy. He's like, yes, you've accepted it. You've accepted your fate, and blah, blah, blah. Braun rips off his shirt because apparently everybody wants to see Braun's nipples, especially the one who has at Braun's Nips on Twitter. I can't believe that's still a thing. I shit you not, it is still a thing. So Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt, they kind of hug, and then it seems like Bray's going to get the victory, but then Braun just takes off the mask, he sets it down. Bray's just like, you don't know what you're doing. And then Braun steps on the mask, he hits the power slam on Bray, 1, 2, 3, picks up the victory, and as Braun is just celebrating up the rampway, we see Bray Wyatt just kind of laughing and snickering a bit, and we also see like this panning deal between him and the Fiend. So something tells me that this rivalry is not over by a long shot. And hey, Bray Wyatt as a human has suffered his first loss since coming back. Kind of interesting enough. 1 thumb up. It's not one of the better matches of the night, but it's still one of those matches that, it could have been worse. It could have been a lot worse. But in all honesty, I think that with the whole mind game deal at the end, I kind of liked it. It definitely set up for something pretty interesting in the future. So, yeah, those are my thoughts really on it.
I enjoyed this match. It was fun. You had the Funhouse puppets getting involved here as well.
That's right.
And can we have a Mr. Rogers Bray match, or even a Fiend match, mind you, where it's the puppets on commentary? Just once. I want to see it. I basically expected everything. I expected to see the Funhouse. I thought to myself during this match that we're going to see the sheep mask. And once he put on the sheep mask, I tweeted out, it's like, power slam in 3, 2, 1. Sure enough, bang. And this loss doesn't hurt him. I don't think any loss hurts Bray Wyatt or The Fiend because, well, as we know, I made the comparison to The Undertaker and who The Undertaker lost to in his first year. It's okay, and unpopular opinion, but the Goldberg one, as stupid as it was fine because Goldberg was never a part of The Fiend's past, but he is now. So I seen the Backlash poster. I don't know if it's official or not, but it looked really cool. It was the Two-Face thing where it was the sheep mask and then the Fiend on the other half. So this is going forward, which I'm fine with. The Fiend doesn't need the title. I don't care if he wins the title. I would mark out because The Fiend is one of my favorites right now, if you've listened to Fetch 5. Yeah, fun. And I knew the Power Slam was coming. I knew the Braun win was coming. And we're going on. And as I look at my brand new Fiend Funko Pop just over here, yeah.
Life is good. We get into the WWE Championship matchup between Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. Oh, my Lord. This felt like just like one of the best massages that you could ever receive. This was a good matchup. It definitely showcased Seth Rollins at his best. It showcased Drew McIntyre at his best. In all honesty, this was everything that I expected and then some. That's how I describe this matchup. A lot of physicality that Seth brought to Drew McIntyre. A lot of physicality that Drew McIntyre brought to Seth. It was to be expected. Drew McIntyre kicked out of the curb stomp. To be honest, I think I rather prefer the blackout, but that's only because I saw the NXT match between Seth Rollins and Jinder Mahal, and it was actually really good. That's just me. So, that happened, and then Drew McIntyre, he's fighting back. He hits his, Glasgow Kiss. I legit love that it's called that, to be honest. He is able to counter the curb stop again, hits the Claymore, 1, 2, 3. Drew McIntyre retains over a Gary game Seth Rollins. And after the matchup, we actually get a little bit of a deal where Drew McIntyre extends his hand out to Seth Rollins, and Rollins shakes his hand. Which was interesting. In all honesty, I don't hate it. I actually kind of liked it. I thought it was really cool to showcase that, it seems that Drew McIntyre has earned Seth Rollins' respect, which is to be expected. I really, really liked it. I gave this 2 gorilla thumbs up. This was honestly by far the match of the night until we get to the main event, because trust me, it's going to blow everybody's mind. This was really good. It definitely showcased Drew McIntyre's strengths. It definitely showcased Seth Rollins at his best. It was just so good. And honestly, oh, jeez. The new theme song of Seth Rollins, that took me off guard, and also I dug it. I really dug it. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, that new theme song is perfect. I mean, if you're going to be the Monday Night Messiah, I don't think you want to say burn it down. That's not a Jesus-y thing to say. This was match of the night. It was very physical. I could just imagine this in front of a crowd, dueling chants, because I think the crowd would eat up the Monday Night Messiah gimmick. They love it. I mean, I would say you guys know I'm a Christian, but it's like, to some of the Christian fans out there, they might sour on it because they think it's sacrilegious, but it's just entertainment. I mean, I'm willing to let it slide. Whatever, it's fun, it's fine. But you get that duality from the crowd. I think that would work out just fine. Very physical match, and maybe Drew congratulated him on becoming a father at the end with a handshake. Which, by the way, congratulations.
Very true. Oh, trust me, we're getting to that. We are definitely getting to that. Did you have anything more to add?
No, this was a great match, and I liked the show of sportsmanship at the end of it. It was, I don't want to say it was uncharacteristic of Seth, because if he's going to have the Messiah complex, he's going to have to learn how to be Christ-like. So, yeah. Thumbs up. Good match.
Definitely. All right, so now we get into the main event of not 1, but 2 matches that took place. The corporate Money in the Bank ladder matches for the women as well as for the men. We have on the women's side, we have Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, Lacey Evans, Dana Brooke, Carmella, and Asuka. And on the men's side, we have AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, Aleister Black, King Corbin, Otis, and Rey Mysterio. So I just rewatched this matchup today, and I love it just as much as the first time. I know that there is a certain colleague of ours who definitely is very sour on this matchup. He's gone on record to say that it's dumb. but I'm not going to reveal the names because he doesn't need that kind of heat. Will Terror Show. Oh, jeez, I got a little something. But I frankly enjoy this matchup. It started off at the baseline. The women were starting off in like the corporate lobby of the corporate offices, and the men started off in the weightlifting deal. So we're going to try to mesh as much of this chaos as we can. Maybe even take a couple breaks to just talk about some of these moments. We'll start with the women's side. Asuka does like a high-flying crossbody off the top of like a balcony area to hit the women, and then she just goes right for the elevator. She's going up. There's like a camera view where she's just kind of dancing in there. I was surprised she didn't just do like the Charleston at that point, which would have been so funny. The men are beating each other up in the weightlifting area. Baron Corbin breaks a mirror, and there's like a moment where Baron Corbin's just like, oh fuck. He's just looking at the mirror realizing he probably has 7 years of bad luck for the next while of his career, which I think kind of describes his career in a nutshell, let's be fair. Otis pins AJ down with a squatting barbell deal, and I love this part because it makes Rey Mysterio look like a dick. AJ Styles, he's just screaming, Rey, help me, and Rey just goes, you're loco. He just walks away. It's like, hey, you asshole. How dare you?
Spot him, come on.
So all the guys are just running past the bathroom area. Rey Mysterio is just about to leave the bathroom area when he hears a flush. He goes to the bathroom to see it's Brother Love. I love you. Oh my gosh. Can I also say that the freaking the spray tan that Bruce Pritchard has on his face is so bad. It's so
Freaking melanoma on his face is what it is, or it's a heart attack waiting to happen.
Oh my gosh, it was one of those things where it's like, wow. No, I understand that, Brother Love back in the day, he was like all super red and stuff like that. But this one, he just looked like he just woke up after sleeping in a barrel of oranges. It was so bad. But it's not the worst thing we see.
He must have took one hell of a dump. If he's that red after coming out of the stall, dude, have some fiber. Have a bowl of oatmeal with blueberries and a coffee every morning like I do. Sends you right to the can.
Oh, God. That's awesome. That is awesome. I never thought of that, but that's a really good analogy. So, the men and the women kind of convene up. They kind of meet up with each other. One of the first a couple times, actually, that this happens, which is awesome. The women are kind of, hitting buttons on the elevator, trying to stop Asuka, but here come the men. They're trying to basically do the same thing. Well, actually, they went into an elevator. All four. I think it was Corbin, Mysterio, Aleister Black, and Otis. Yeah, they all are beating each other up in an elevator. I would have kind of loved it if they would have just done a deal where it looked like they're just beating them up, but then you just show like the inside of the elevator, and they're just standing there, just like nonchalantly, just being chill with elevator music just playing. Or maybe they just create that awesome scene from the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles where they just start jamming out in the elevator. Oh, man. I need a life. And then they just continue fighting after the doors open. They just go, yes, yes! They just go crazy. Asuka kind of sneaks away. We see Daniel Bryan beating down Baron Corbin, who's tied up in the... It's really weird because they had like a section of the corporate office where it's almost like half of a ring there. So Baron Corbin's like tied up with the ropes, and Bryan's just doing like the yes kicks like crazy. And here's Otis just going, yes, yes, oh, yes. Then he just gets kicked by Daniel Bryan. And then we get Doink the Clown. I honestly thought it was Frank the Clown at first, but then I looked again. I was like, no, that's a Doink because Frank does not have that facial structure. And how do I know this? Because I've met the guy multiple times. Plus, he has facial hair. So, and I think after this, was this the... Oh, right, no. So somehow AJ Styles is able to, get out of the weight room area. We get a couple moments where he's just looking at like posters. He looks at a Rey Mysterio one where he's just like, I'm going to get you, Rey. I'm going to get you. He's going down again. Where are you, little Rey? And then he freaks out. Camera pans over. Gong. Just a picture of The Undertaker. I think it might have been his WrestleMania 33 entrance.
Yes, and the Rey Mysterio one was an entrance thing as well. So it was taken from far away, and it was Rey coming down a ramp. So visually, like from watching it here, it was an optical illusion. So it looked like Rey was far down the hall. And that's what made that. I'm going to get you. That's what made that even funnier. That was phenomenal. And then the friggin' the Taker in the getting locked in Aleister Black's room with the Undertaker.
That was awesome. Rey just is like, no. And then Aleister Black just kicks him in the head. And he's like, no. Aleister Black just closes the door. He looks up and then he just walks away. It's like, Aleister Black, you jackass. He's scared of the dark.
He has PTSD.
or TTSD. Taker depression syndrome.
Taker traumatic stress disorder. There we go.
There we go.
Post Taker stress disorder. PTSD. Back to it. Oh, there's the episode title.
Yes. Post Taker stress syndrome. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So then we get a nice little deal where Paul Heyman, God bless the man's soul, he decides to get involved in this deal. He's just basically, he takes a strawberry from the fruit deal and he just throws it away. Then he's grabbing like a sub to eat. Then we have the men and the women. It's like, the battle line has been drawn. They're just kind of facing off and yelling at each other. And Otis is just yelling like, oh, no. I messed up. Because there was one more scene that they did before this. I'll still get into this a little bit. Then I'll backtrack just a little bit. So basically, what ends up happening is that Dana Brooke gets knocked into Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman just tosses a sandwich over to Otis. Otis is having like a spasm attack, and he just goes, "Food fight!" Just grabs a freaking tray of sandwiches and tosses it on Paul Heyman, and everybody's just looking like they just saw like God for the first time. Paul Heyman has his like entire face covered in sesame seeds, which was amazing. I just love everybody's facial reaction of like, oh shit, we're in trouble now. And then the men and women are just kind of brawling, whether it's with each other or even having a couple moments where we get a little intergender stuff. Shayna chokes out Rey Mysterio, which I thought was kind of awesome. And then we see Nia and Otis, they squish Rey Mysterio. It was a bit of an interesting moment. Dana Brooks gets thrown into a soda machine. Carmelo goes through a table. Then we get this like weird stare off between Otis and Nia. Then they just go their separate ways because why not?
It's funny because they're fat.
So to backtrack what I was doing there, because I actually did forget about this, and this was a moment that I still, to this day, am amazed that they didn't just go with this. So the women are fighting in like the office area, and then they go into like a random boardroom meeting area, and they're just beating everybody down. Dana Brooke, she hits Nia Jax in the back with a chair, and in the middle of that conference room is a Money in the Bank briefcase with literal money inside of it. I mean, from afar, it looks like real, and maybe when you open it up, it's fake money. But Dana Brooke, she unlatches the Money in the Bank briefcase. She's like, yes, I won. And here comes, guess who? And welcome to the Queendom.
I'm all grown up now.
Oh, damn it. I should have gone with that one, but I went with Queendom instead. Out comes Stephanie McMahon, who basically just says, Dana, this is the Money in the Bank conference room, okay? The Money in the Bank briefcases are on the roof. Also, can you clean this up, okay? Because Nia's drooling all over the place. And girl, I don't want to get dirty. I don't know why I just went into like a Jersey Shore kind of deal with Stephanie, but that was how I felt about this cameo. And Dana Brooke, she's just looking at the briefcase all sad. And it's like, no, take that briefcase and run. Forget the
It
contract.
has money, you dumb. Oh.
As my dad would probably say, you dumb skank. Because he literally watching this, and he's just like, it's like, are these skanks like fighting for the briefcase? Like, yes, they are. I'm literally dying. And then we get into a deal where we see Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax facing off, and it's like, is that a boy or a girl? It's like, damn it, they're both women.
Oh my!
But at the same time, it's like you can understand why people can confuse Shayna because she's probably taken so many shots to the head that her face probably got messed up. Anyway, I don't want to piss Shayna off too much because she probably will kill me next time she sees me if I ever meet up with her, which I never will. But yeah, that was just kind of a little gem that my dad had where it was kind of funny because he mentions that and I literally just said like no, those are the skanks, and then Carmella comes up. Oh, there's a skank. So take that, Phil. Don't care. I don't like Carmella. Screw her and screw Corey Graves. They could screw each other. Oh, jeez, I don't need that visual. No. What happens
yes,
then? So actually, it kind of ties in a little bit because the women basically are going through like this dining room area, and Asuka's yelling at a janitor in like Japanese, and the janitor's like, "Oh no!" And all the women are chasing after Asuka. Hey, how convenient! This janitor is mopping the floor. Everybody else, they're fine. It's cool. Dana Brooke, however, does not see the wet floor sign. Slip, lands and hurts her head. Dana, you could have left with like $100,000 or whatever was in that briefcase, but you end up just falling down on your ass.
I'm a former janitor, okay? And there was nothing that pissed me off more than people walking on my freshly mopped floor. When I had the wet floor sign up. It's the dead of winter. This was in college, so I mopped our dormitory hall from one end to the other. And the second I'm done, of course, in comes someone with winter boots. Really? Really? Yeah, that's, yeah. And even now, I do janitorial stuff at my store now, and I'm like, as soon as you walk on it, really? Input, Ms. Me, here.
Fair. No, I know that pain too. I did that for a few years at Walmart, and that always sucked. So I know your pain. So that happened, but then we get what everybody loves is the deal where we see Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. They're beating each other up. They're fighting each other. They end up in Vince McMahon's office, and and next thing you know, you hear no chance. So that's what they look over. They see the boss. He's just looking at him. And he just says, "Out!
Get out!"
Daniel Bryan and AJ are like, "Okay, we're gonna leave." But then AJ just says like, "Should we just?" And Bryan's like, "Oh yeah, sure." They clean up the chairs. They're just like, so they leave. Vince McMahon in his suit and jeans. He just
sanitizing himself like I am right now.
He just sanitizes his hands, and then he just nonchalantly just goes back to work, probably thinking about new ways to try to help the company. We'll see what happens. And then AJ Styles and Bryan are just kind of like bickering a little bit, where they're just like, "Wow, you look so stupid." And Bryan's like, "You're the one who said to put the chairs back." He's like, "Oh yeah, I did." Boom! To just go back to beat each other up. King Corbin, he just decides to get his scepter. He's beating down on everybody. He even throws AJ Styles against the wall in one of the conference rooms, which I thought was brutal. And then Baron Corbin's just like, King Corbin goes, "I'm going to the roof." We finally get to the roof deal. And we see Nia Jax, Lacey Evans, and Asuka. They're trying to reach the briefcase. We see some pretty good ladder match spots here where Asuka throws a ladder at Nia and then knocks Lacey Evans off to land into Nia. Asuka's just about ready to get the briefcase, but then in comes King Corbin. He's climbing up the ladder. And he's just like, no, it's mine. Asuka's just yelling at him in Japanese. And she's just like, okay, fine. Just whacks him and knocks him down. And then Asuka retrieves the briefcase. Asuka is the 2020 Women's Money in the Bank ladder match winner. Awesome. Congratulations to Asuka. We will definitely talk about the future with her in the next set after we come back from commercial break. We finish off the men's. Here comes Otis. Here comes Mysterio. Here comes Black. Here comes Styles. They're basically beating each other up. Then we see Baron Corbin hits Rey Mysterio, then throws him seemingly off the side of the building. Seemingly. And a lot of people were pissed off that it wasn't off the side of the building, which I will address in just a minute. Aleister Black, he tries to beat down on King Corbin. Corbin hits him into the side of the ring, and then he's like, "Bye, Aleister. I'm going to piss off Kate Murphy now." He just throws Aleister off the side. So, there's a lot of people that are pissed off about the fact that this was not off the side of the building. That, obviously, when you looked at the way that it was set up, obviously, it just looked like a situation where it was just like, it was like a small interior deal, and then the outside would just be like a random spot or something. If they were to do a deal where they actually toss somebody off the building, I guarantee you they probably could have gotten like a net or something like they do for stunt doubles or something like that, where they could have just done something safe like that. But I'm not going to complain about it because I'm not fickle, A, and B, I want to see people live. Thank you very much.
Fickle. Yeah, and it's like, and they could have just had Spider-Man come at the bottom, but like that Family Guy bit, everybody gets one.
That would have been amazing. Oh my gosh. I almost forgot about another cameo. You know what? I'm going to insert it right here before I forget about it. After the food fight, Otis goes into the cafeteria area, and he grabs a pie. Unfortunately, it was not a peach pie, which I'm sure he was disappointed about. Ha-ha!
Hey!
There's more explicit content for you. Try and stop me. So, next thing you know, you hear this like, beep, beep, da, 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 da.
Oh.
And it's Johnny Ace, John Laurinaitis. He just has a big old smile on his face, finger up, people power. And then just a pie to Johnny's face. Because why not? The guy's is he in the Hall of Fame? Because I feel like he should be after that moment.
He is not, but he'll be inducted into the, what's that one wing where they put in guys like Toots Mondt, like that Dynasty wing of the Fame?
Oh, the Warrior Award or something like that?
No, the Legacy wing.
But
I'll say this. Sideberg, Toots Mondt being in the Legacy ring, frig off. The man deserves an induction all on its own. Wrestling wouldn't be what it is today without Toots Mondt. I'm just going to say that.
Hey, fair enough. You hear that, WWE? Fretz has a problem with that. Put the dude in the Hall of Fame. So we get to the matchup. Back to the matchup. AJ Styles and Otis and Corbin, they're fighting against each other. AJ Styles gets a phenomenal forearm. He's climbing up the ladder. Here comes Corbin. He's fighting against him. They unlatch the briefcase, and Corbin's like, "No, it's mine! It's mine! All mine!" AJ Styles tries to fight him away. Next thing you know, El Capone! It's Elias. He hits him in the back with a guitar. King Corbin falls. AJ Styles is like, "I got it!" But he has his butterfingers, apparently. He drops the briefcase. It lands into Otis's hands. Winner of the match. And your 2020 men's Money in the Bank winner, Otis! Wisconsin finally gets a win. Because reasons. Because WrestleMania 26 had the same thing. 36, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was... that's an interesting finish, to say the least. I'll go off on how I think everything's going to go a little bit later here, but yeah, that ladder match was very entertaining. I mean, it was obvious that there was like a patio below where the guys were getting thrown off, because they wouldn't they wouldn't do like a full-on Irish whip off of a rooftop into nothing, even if they had the giant crash mat, because, well, they would need to surround the whole building and property in it in case you miss by an inch, kind of like those table bumps in Botchamania where I am the table, and you miss it by an inch, and you land on your head, or it doesn't break. but this time you would break your body. So, yes, all the cameos were great. Vince McMahon's was funny. Stephanie's was okay. I don't think Stephanie's that good of an actor. She's just very dry.
So you're saying my acting was better than Stephanie's?
Your acting was better than Stephanie's.
Yes!
Yeah. Yes.
Give me a slammy, damn it!
My stepladder over there is a better actor than Stephanie. This Owen Sound Attack hat, cheap plug, Owen Sound, Ontario Hockey League. But you get my picture.
Yes.
So, yeah, what else? Laurinaitis, okay. McMahon, yeah, and AJ, the knot in the storyline where AJ still has a bit of PTSD from being buried alive. That's neat. That's a great addition to the story. It weaves into the character of AJ Styles. I like it. Yes. Elias getting involved. My boy. My favorite. One of my favorites. That was just the icing on the cake so Corbin wouldn't win, although he was my pick until he held the briefcase on SmackDown. And as soon as I saw that, I'm just like, AJ Styles.
It's like, oh shit, he's not going to win.
No, I texted you saying I'm changing my pick, but it was too late. Now
we would have been wrong anyway.
Yeah, because you picked someone else too, right?
No, I picked Styles. I picked Styles. You picked Corbin. We were both wrong. So the prediction battle ended in a draw because of Otis.
Okay. So and now to Otis. Well, I see a couple other things. A couple of things happening here, and some of these are from the Dirty Dirt sheets. Mm-hmm. So take them with a big bowl of salt. It's never been explicitly mentioned in some Money in the Bank scenarios what championship you can contend for. So I can see him and Tucker gunning for the tag titles, which I would be completely fine with. It's about damn time Heavy Machinery get a win. I can also see him getting Damian Sandow, whether it's to, let's just say they do this like they're doing Monday night. It's the cross-brand invitational. It's the wild card rule again. God, no. King Corbin versus Drew McIntyre, which I think can be a good match on paper because they're both great performers. Otis, I think, would hypothetically lose his briefcase to AJ Styles because AJ had it in his hands. He had it. Butterfingered, and it fell. That's funny. That's comedic. That's funny for an ending. It's better than Brock coming in out of nowhere, knocking off Mustafa Ali. And the boombox thing was funny. I love the Brock party. Mm-hmm. And I'm only saying that because I went to Brock High School, and Brock parties were, well, you know. So you had Otis is either going to win the tag titles with it or lose the briefcase to AJ Styles with someone like Ziggler and or Mandy Rose or Dark Horse. I don't see this happening. Tucky. One of the three or all of the three screwing him out of the briefcase. As much as I love Otis, he's not main event. He's not going to be the WWE or Blue Universal Champion. It's just not happening.
You know, I could make a case that, well, first of all, I'll give my rating for this matchup, which is 2 Thanos thumbs up, because it was absolutely awesome. Like you said, cameos, wrestling-wise, everything here was great. They made another cinematic masterpiece. Now, when it comes to Otis not being main event level contender, I mean, I could make the case that, you know, they said the same thing about, you know, people like, you know, Stone Cold Steve Austin, like maybe even Kurt Angle. Like they could say for The Rock. They could say that for a lot of people. They didn't think that they were going to be, you know, main event contender. Hell, Jinder Mahal was not even considered to be main event contender, and he became WWE champion. Granted, it was not a great run as WWE champion, but still, in the legacy, we will see that Jinder Mahal's name is on there. Also, We need a Jinder Mahal babyface turn because that way, hey, you could probably really get the Indian market on there because their ambassador is a good guy. Adam Blampier, credit to you. So, I get it. Otis is one of those guys who's almost like a Santino Morel or a Zack Ryder. He's more of an entertaining personality. But at the same time, when is that really a bad thing? To have a very entertaining personality. If he gets along, if he gets over with the audience, if he's putting on great matches or even fun matches, if he's, selling merch, that's basically what WWE describes as a future world champion or as a future main eventer. If he's doing that, he's probably going to end up as a world champion, whether you want to admit it or not. And to be honest, would that really hurt the state of at least, the Blue Universal Championship? No. In all honesty, that title has been trashed for so long that I think that Otis would be a nice, refreshing breath of air for that. In all honesty, I would love to see them do a comedic deal where he tries to put the belts around his waist. Maybe he gets like these goofy suspenders or something like that, where he's just... I mean, you can see it, literally. Like, he just has 2 in the front and 2 in the side plates on the back. It would just be amazing just to see that. I might also be biased because of the fact that I know that he's from Wisconsin, but at the same time, when was the last time that we had a guy from Wisconsin be world champion in WWE? If I say it overall, I could definitely say Mr. Anderson because he was TNA champion twice. And trust me, I will talk about TNA a little bit later on because there's something funny I need to tell you about that, Fretz. So my case with it is that if Otis does go for the tag team titles, hey, I'm all for it. I agree with you. Heavy Machinery deserves that opportunity. Maybe he cashes in on the Intercontinental title. Wouldn't be a bad thing. Give him a little bit of a nice run with that. And in all honesty, if he challenges for the Blue Universal title, why not? Because most of the champions in that list are just either meh or at the most point like, okay, we can kind of get behind this. And you can contest me on that. The only one where I could see them basically saying like, oh yeah, we're all for this, was probably the first 2 champions, which were Finn Balor and Kevin Owens. Those are the only 2 that I could think of where it's like, yes, we got somebody new, somebody different, this is going to be awesome. Other than that, I mean, let's face it, Goldberg, not so much. Brock Lesnar, we were kind of already over that already. And if you want to hear an amazing argument, definitely check out my Twitter at RealFNGame, where I have an argument with Mr. King Ricky about why it's stupid that Sami Zayn, he's being safe, but he gets punished by losing the title. Brock Lesnar, even though it's in his contract, he can hold that title for years and years and years, like a Bruno Sammartino, and not have a title defense for 3 months. It's just, that still infuriates me. That's just me, but we're going to talk about Sami after the break. I'm trying to think of like other people that were there. Seth Rollins, hey, at first we were all gun-ho for it. Then he ran to Baron Corbin, and it was like, meh. Roman Reigns, he barely just started his run, and then unfortunately his leukemia came back. So unfortunately we never really got that chance to see him really become a champion. The Fiend, a lot of people were kind of against it anyway because it didn't really do much. It didn't hurt the title, but it didn't exactly improve it either. So Otis being the Universal Champion at this point, I'd be all for it because maybe he would have a really good run with that title. Even if it was just for one day, I would be okay with it. Now, if he were to challenge for the WWE title, that might be a little bit more of a stretch because him beating Drew McIntyre, I could not see. Unless he was turning full-blown heel, which I do not see that happening. So that's just my take on it. I don't think it's far-fetched if he were to challenge for, either the Universal title or for the tag team titles, or, we kind of mentioned everything there. I'm open to the idea. I like the idea that they went with somebody different, and hey, we're getting something different. Stop complaining. If it would have been Rey Mysterio, it's like, ooh, no, we don't want Rey. If it was Aleister Black, hey, you would have been happy. I would have been happy too. There are people that would say like, no, not AJ Styles. He doesn't need the briefcase to win the title. Blah 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 blah. King Corbin, they probably would bitch about that. Daniel Bryan, he's already won the briefcase. He doesn't need it. You're never going to please anybody. Let's face it. Everybody is going to either be happy with certain things or they're going to complain about everything. That's just my thought process on it. I'm done arguing about it. Fretz, let's take a little quick break, and then when we come back, we got a lot of stuff to cover when it comes to this week. So stay tuned, guys. We will return, and we will be back.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Coda Jacobs, the crusader and visionary behind a brighter future in wrestling. If you're an honorable and noble public servant like myself, you are listening to the Game Changer Podcast.
What's up, folks? This is Mr. Fretz from the Game Changer Podcast, here to tell you about my Patreon show, The 20 Bell Salute, where I go back 20 years ago each month in wrestling and pop culture. What movies were out, what video games we were playing, what music we were downloading on Napster, and what wrestling pay-per-views took place that month in WWE and what other promotions happen to still exist at this time. So join me in my Y2K compliant DeLorean as I go 20 years into the past on the Wrestle Addict Radio Patreon. Join us for only $5 a month.
It takes a real woman to go from being the man to the mom. Welcome back to the Game Changer Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I am NateFNGreat, joined here by the one and only Mr. Fretz. And Fretz, what a bombshell that got dropped on Monday, where Becky Lynch announced that she had to relinquish the Raw Women's Championship. So much so that it created a huge deal when Asuka won the title, because that was the main thing, was that Becky Lynch wanted to talk to the winner of the Women's Money in the Bank holder, because inside was her Raw Women's Championship. Asuka would go on to celebrate, and Becky Lynch would have one of the most. This was an awesome deal, and I'm kind of getting a little choked up just hearing her say this. Was that she said, you go on to be the fighter because I'm gonna go be a mom. In which Asuka is just like, are you serious? You're gonna be a mother? And she's just hugging Becky. She's just screaming, Becky, Becky, Becky. So Becky Lynch is apparently pregnant. She is with child. And honestly, it's one of those things where she put in her heart and soul into this promo that she cut on Monday, where she talks about everything that she accomplished, and it's one of those things where it seemed like it was going to be a situation where maybe she was going to have to, take time off because of an injury or something going on. But no, she did it. It was just one of those things. I said to her that she was a true class act, and that, she not only, she may have had some say in, who was going to get the Raw Women's title. In all honesty, it didn't deserve to go on anybody else other than Asuka at that point. I know people are going to say, but Shayna Baszler. No. It's Asuka. And I'll tell you guys why in just a bit. But congratulations to Becky Lynch and to Seth Rollins for hopefully welcoming a new last kicker or lad kicker into the world. Possibly in the next, who knows at this point. Maybe it's the next 6 months? Who knows at this point? Who knows how long that they've known? But we know that Becky Lynch has been not competing for a little while since Mania. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, how long has she been along? She doesn't even look like she's that far along. But it was one of those things where it's a happy moment. We wish nothing but the best to Becky and to Seth Rollins, even though it looks like he didn't use any conditioner this past Monday. One of the best things you'll ever see is just him having just poofy hair, looking like he just woke up with a hangover, realizing that he made a quote-unquote big mistake.
Yeah, I thought I was wearing a condom face. every dad's reaction. Congratulations to Becky and Seth, yes, in all honesty. It's like, as soon as I saw that, I busted out the same meme when my brother and my sister-in-law were pregnant with my nephew, who's going to be 6 this November. Oh my God! When they were pregnant with my nephews, I texted my brother the Simpsons meme, and it was Dr. Hibbert handing Marge a pamphlet that says, "So you've ruined your life." and then my brother, who's luckily a Simpsons fan like me, I mean, him and I communicate through Simpsons quotes, literally.
Gosh,
I mean,
awesome.
And speaking of mothers, just getting a text from my mom now, we're shooting the shit. It's fun. Usually she's up here for a May long weekend, but it's the first time in 10 years that she's not unable to be here, obviously. So, yeah, that really sucks. But, yeah, and then he's like, hey, send that to my wife. I dare you. And I did, and she has a sense of humor, because half the time she'll be she'll be like on the couch with him just watching it, but just on her phone, not paying attention. So she knows The Simpsons, doesn't hate the show, but she's just like, okay, that's funny. and then when they were pregnant with my niece, I did the same thing. And then I sent this thing out. I didn't at Becky Lynch because I'm not. I don't at wrestlers a lot. I don't like to do that unless I'm talking about Elias should be the champion, which he retweeted and liked, which I love.
Nice.
Yeah, he's my boy. But I wouldn't go at Becky Lynch, The Simpsons meme. No, I just was anonymous about it and thought I was funny. Luckily,
you'd send her a pun because she did a lot of puns in her early parts of her career.
Yeah, when she was the Irish dancer. You! No.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, in all honesty, congratulations. Seth coming out all disheveled and then having, temporary, dad rage on Rey Mysterio taking out his eye. And then he's like, I don't know what came over me. You had dad rage, buddy.
Oh, my gosh. That's amazing. That is awesome. But also, another big thing that happened is that Asuka is now the second Grand Slam champion in women's history, but in all honesty, I would dare say that she's the first true Grand Slam. She's the most decorated, in all honesty, because, let's list off the deals. Royal Rumble winner, Raw Women's Champion, SmackDown Women's Champion, Money in the Bank holder. She won the tag team titles. She was also NXT champion for both iterations of the title, whether it was the nice little pink title that they had there. She also had the new version of the title, which was pretty badass. It also looked like the NXT championship, but at the same time, WWE doesn't know how to be original. That's a shock. She went undefeated in WWE for about, I think it was actually over 2 years, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
Close to it.
Yeah, she is definitely one of the most decorated. In all honesty, I'm stating this right now. She's going to be in the Hall of Fame. With a resume like that, she deserves it.
First ballot Hall of Famer, absolutely. Okay, I'm a jerk. So as soon as I saw that the briefcase contained the women's title, I was just like, TNA. That's right out of Feast or Fire. Is Jeremy Borash writing for Raw now? I think he is.
He was. I think he was working with NXT for a while, but maybe he was writing for that. But in all honesty, I'm okay with that. This was one of those things where at least it wasn't like the the 49ers match in WCW.
Oh God!
It could have been worse.
Mance, okay, Mance, Delight Show, good brother, shout out. How did you do it? Because I'm looking at WCW for my stuff now. You don't drink, I don't think. Let me know. Tell me your secrets. Yeah, that was awful, but. And I thought it was a neat little niche in the story. Okay, it contained the title. Now you can create a rival for Asuka, which is going to be Kairi Sane. As soon as I saw them celebrating and hugging, I'm like, Kairi Sane's turning. I know she might be on her. There's some rumor and innuendo that she could be on her way out, on her way back to Stardom. When the whole thing blows over, blah blah blah.
Go to All Elite Wrestling and team up with Hirako Shida. I want to see that.
Okay, I'm up for that. Because I hope that would give Shida some personality. Because I watch her, I'm like, she's good, but I'm just like, nothing gravitates me towards Kaoru Shida. But that's just me. But despite Asuka, as I said before, she's been insufferable and annoying. I'll admit this. It's entertaining, it's popular, and the fans are eating it up. So in front of a crowd, well, not only can I picture what, I could also picture laughter and pops. So there we go. And if this gets us back to Pirate Kairi Sane, for the love of everything holy, that's one thing WrestleMania robbed us of, was the friggin' ship. Nope. And there was another rumor that, Kevin Owens jumping off the sign, he was supposed to do that on the ship.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, and there's probably another rumor that it was going to be like a one-night event, which, in all honesty, God help us, we would have been dead by the time Drew McIntyre and Brock would have happened. Actually, I would have been
hammered.
Yeah.
I would have been hammered.
Yeah, I would have been out of my mind, just blitzed. WWE is still having quite the interesting deal. Now let's talk about NXT for a bit. First of all, they're bringing back In Your House, which I thought was kind of cool. And there's a lot of people that are already like pissed. They're pissed off. It's like, no, we don't want it in your house, and blah blah blah. There's even one person. I think it might have been. I think it might have been either Wrestling Queen or Queen of NYC who did this, where she said that she hopes that we see like the classic set that In Your House had. Otherwise, she's going to call it a fail. To which I said, they would probably have to remake that, because I highly doubt that it held up that well in the warehouse.
Okay, are they going to give away a house this time again?
That would be funny.
Do you remember? Have you seen this?
Okay, now you're scaring me. What are you talking about?
Okay, so I think it was the first ever In Your House. It was actually, how long ago was 1995? 25 years?
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah, this week, actually. I think maybe even today.
Oh, shit.
First off, holy crap. Second off, there was this contest, because it was In Your House. WWE gave away a physical house, right? So Todd Pettengill and Stephanie Wyand had this awkward as hell, like, live on pay-per-view, or the free-for-all, I forget what, where they called this number, and it was basically like, hey, are you watching In Your House? And then it went to a few other people. I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up mistakenly calling it a sex hotline or something, which WWE's hotline probably is by now. I called the WWE Superstar line back in the day and got my ass kicked for doing it. But, yeah, here... And they gave it away. It was as awkward as... If we ever review SummerSlam 97, I'm letting you know there was an awkward live on pay-per-view contest kind of deal with Pettengill. It was his last night in the company, but they gave away a house. And I think there was a lot of fine print and all this other stuff. I don't know if they kept the house or if they still live in it or not. It was one of the most painful friggin' segments in wrestling history. This is right up there with Bayley, This Is Your Life.
Is it up there with the, the $1 Million Mania that Vince did all those years ago?
It's just as painful because it has live dialing, like McMahon was. It's like, are you watching Raw? It's like, no, I'm watching Game of Thrones or something. And it's like, call the next number. And you hear the dial tones, like, boop, boop, boop. Like, Homer, when I met you, you didn't know how to use the touch tone phone. Boop, boop. You already dialed, Homer. Oh. Yeah, kids, look this one up. It's entertaining, to say for all the wrong reasons.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That is just amazing. So we have that. We also had a debut, or in-ring debut, of one Killer Kross, or now as you known in NXT as Karrion Kross, I believe it is.
Karrion Kross. Fall and pray.
And what's really crazy about this was that I never got a chance to watch NXT as much, but I think with this new work schedule, I might get a chance to. So hopefully I will. But I just remember you messaging me. I think it was last week. Yes, it was last week. You messaged me, go watch NXT right now. And it's like, okay. We get to the Karrion Kross deal, and literally I just see it go to like black and white. Next thing I know, I just see this woman just standing there. It's like, okay, this is new. See like this silhouette just coming from the background all the way to her. Lights come on, and then I see I'm still calling him Killer Kross. I don't care what anybody says. I see Kross come in, and it's like, okay, this is his entry. Oh, okay, and I just see Scarlett Bordeaux. She is just mouthing the words of the lyrics that are being sung. To which I'm like, this is new. Okay. I love this. I love this entrance. Aleister Black, your move right now. And then we see Kross just literally kill this guy. What the guy's name was like Leon Rush or something like that. He got
Leon Ruff. He had a rough night.
He did three back suplexes to him, and then just locked into a submission maneuver. Kross is just like, yeah, I'm literally here to kill people. It's like, whew, that is something that Kross would do. That was awesome. And I can only imagine that one of our good friends, Mr. Dusty Dave, honestly, I could say that he's probably one of Kross's favorite people. Probably was having just a huge happy time for that. So shout out to Dave, shout out to Kross for finally making it on TV. Well deserved. This is a guy who I met him twice. He's awesome. Just absolutely awesome. I've even met Scarlett Bordeaux. She's a bit of a sweetheart.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things where it's like, be jealous. We are. Good.
Sorry, Nate. They were cutting a promo this week, so I caught like those 15-minute recaps of NXT. But then I saw Karrion Kross's vignette, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch this whole thing. So it's just the whole. Do you remember? Did you ever watch? I think there was like a soundtrack played at all of the Armageddon pay-per-views that was just. The end is near.
Yes, I do remember that.
They had that during Kross's vignette this week on NXT.
Are you serious?
I'm just like I don't know what the guy was singing at first. I'm listening. I'm like, they didn't. And me being a big Attitude Era fan, and then when I just heard the. I just left out of my chair. I loved it. It's just Kross was just doing his basically his Armageddon gimmick. I mean his TikTok. And I'm sold on him. I got to see a little bit of Kross in. I was watching a bit of Impact back when Impact had the that GFW app on Xbox.
Oh yeah.
It would have it like a week later, so I was watching like the LAX versus OG LAX feud. Who was the Third Eye X Division champion? Sydal?
Oh, that was that was Matt Sydal.
Yeah, I was watching that whole thing, and Killer Kross was a heavy for. Who was he a heavy? He was like a heavy for. He wasn't John Morrison, but he was somebody's bodyguard.
Yeah. It would have been, and then when Johnny Impact, I think.
Yeah, what? Yeah. Excuse me. So I saw finally a little bit of him. And when I first saw him, I'm like, really? A back suplex is a finisher? I mean, that was Davey Boy Smith Jr.'s finisher in WWE. Davey Boy, no offense to Davey Boy, I mean, he's better at his dad's power slam than he is a Doomsday Saito. Killer Cross is death. I mean, how Leon sold it perfectly, because you had a guy that size selling that move, and then he called it the straight jacket in Impact, the cross jacket. And I'm fine with carrying cross. I mean, I'm just gonna kind of look up the it sounds. How do I Armageddon-esque, because that's his TikTok, his gimmick. The end is coming. I'm just going to look up, what carrying means, but it's suitable.
It means he's carrying a cross, which means that confirmed he's going to be the next disciple of Seth Rollins.
No, he's going to be the one to crucify Seth Rollins.
Okay, that's fair. That is fair. He's going to carry Seth Rollins' cross, and then he's going to nail him to the cross. Jeez Louise. Oh, man. Thank you for everybody that's listened to us.
That would make him... No, that wouldn't make him Judas. Wow, this is a pop-up website. It is nothing.
Love the way you said that. This is a pop-up website. This is nothing. While you're looking that up, I'll mention this about TNA, because you kind of mentioned that with GWF. I think it was like GWF or GFW. Whatever the hell it was. I forgot now. So there is a promo, and you need to look this up, dude. I shit you not. My friend showed me this, and I was on the ground laughing so hard at this. The opening for this past week's Impact Wrestling is literally showcasing, like, okay, this is what happened last week, and blah, 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 blah. Then Moose basically says, like, no. We're going to restart this. Also, bring back the original TNA voice guy to do this. It's literally just the original voice of the TNA guy. He's basically just talking about Moose being the TNA World Champion, because somehow that's brought back, which in all honesty, I like it. I like that belt design. And it shows like a lot of these like classic footage of like Daniels and Kazarian talking about how, like, oh yeah, he's a well-respected veteran and blah 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 blah. Then there's like AJ Styles, Kurt Angle, Bobby Roode, Sting. Everybody's just talking. They're just like saying like, oh yeah, he's done everything for the business. He's a really great guy. Blah blah blah. And obviously, they cut it off at the point where it's like talking about somebody else to make it just literally all about Moose. It's so fucking funny just hearing that. Just look for Impact Wrestling opener for the week, and you'll see that, and I guarantee you that will make your week, just hearing that and just seeing all that footage. It's just absolutely awesome. So shout out to Josh for bringing up that video. That was just beautiful. I mean, I'm a TNA original guy. I loved it. I tuned into it in like 2006 when Christian was still on it, and it was great. So hearing the voice of the original TNA guy being like, uncensored, unpredictable, this man has definitely just created something amazing. Just it was awesome. It was just amazing. So I had to bring that up. We definitely wanted to talk about the Undertaker's Last Ride, episode 1, that premiered after Money in the Bank. Although for some people it got unleashed a bit early, I guess. I think it was kind of like I think it was the 24 with Edge, or it was the Edge Chronicle. I can't remember which one it was. It was the Edge 24 one, where he returned to the Royal Rumble. All the reactions were there, and hey, I got to do a cameo. It was awesome. So, for those that think that I don't contribute to Wrestle Addict Radio, eat your heart outs. So, after watching this, I mean, we kind of talked about it before we even started recording, how it was very strong. It was very emotional, just seeing everything that he was doing. Because Undertaker is just talking about everything that went through since like WrestleMania 30, where he talks about how he got concussed. He didn't remember when. He just remembered that he got concussed during that match. And somehow his body was just on autopilot to finish that matchup with him and Brock. He talks about how he does not remember that much of anything from that day. I think he said, like, he remembers everything up until about 3 p.m. that day. And everything else was a blur. So, and also, this is one of those great testaments that shows, how much people really respect and care for The Undertaker. Because when he was going to the hospital, there was an SUV that was right behind him. And Undertaker and Brock Lesnar, the guy that beat him and that broke the streak, were there to check to make sure that he was okay. So that was absolutely amazing. You just see the respect that he earned through all those years of being with the company. It's so many people just, talking to him, showing respect to him. It's just absolutely amazing. They even showed like a deal where Undertaker's sitting down with Roman Reigns and with Roman's wife, and he's just talking about, I remember when we did this at like WrestleMania 18 or 19 or something like that. And Roman just talks about how, he's got probably the biggest match of his life, but he's also appreciating the fact that he gets to have these deals where he can sit down with The Undertaker, where he can sit down and, just talk to him, just have him tell these stories. And it was really something that was very sentimental to him. They, of course, talk about the matchup and that final deal where The Undertaker has the moment where, he gets speared by Roman, 1, 2, 3, match is over, Undertaker gets up, he puts on his hat, he puts on his coat, we see him take off the gloves, we see him take off the jacket, we see him take off the hat, and assumingly, this was supposed to be the last match of The Undertaker. And one of the things that I don't think we really got to see during the live show was how it hits people so hard. You just see people in the audience just crying. They are just absolutely emotional because this was a moment where a lot of people were thinking, this is it. And I even remember this. I remember the match just kind of infuriating me a bit. I was thinking, oh, gosh, Roman wins again. Okay, I guess that's it. And then that moment happens, and I just remember thinking, no way. I just remember, even to this day, knowing, especially what happens a year later, I still have that emotion of, it's kind of like the same thing with the streak ending. You kind of just watch it back and it's like, this doesn't seem real. I can't believe this actually happened. And as soon as Taker got out, he was met up by Triple H, who just, he just gave him a hug, and we just see a lot of respect given to The Undertaker. It's a really good and just very powerful first episode, because you're just seeing all the pain that Undertaker's going through. And one thing that definitely stands out is the fact that he said that nobody's going to tell me when to retire. I decide when I retire. Which probably explains why we're seeing him come back so many times. But I remember listening to the Solid Monster sound off on this, and he does a really good review on this if you want a more in-depth deal. But in all honesty, I cannot recommend this enough. Go check it out. The series is worth the time. It's worth every single bit, every single minute of what you would expect it to be, and then some. I know that the next episode he's going to be Undertaker, I think, is going to be reviewing his match. He's going to talk about like the comeback deal. I think we're even going to see the deal where he gets like his hip replaced, because I know they get a little graphic with that one. That just that sends shivers down my spine. Yeah, it's an amazing series. It's a 5-part series, and I know with Survivor Series, just honestly, it's all on the horizon right now. I'm going past SummerSlam. Survivor Series is just on the horizon. If there's ever a place for Undertaker to have one last match, it should be at Survivor Series. The place where he debuted, the place where he won his first title, the place where he's made so much history. It should be at Survivor Series. It's his 30-year marker. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to see him get hurt, but I do want to see him reach that 30-year marker because he's earned it. He deserves a huge send-off. If his last match is with AJ Styles at WrestleMania, I'm content with that. It was a great way to go out. I just personally would love to see him have one final match that's worth, his time, and a match that people can look back on and say, there was, I'm glad that this, let's hope that, it's one of those things. I'm not even getting the right words out. It's so crazy. It's one of those things where you want it to be his best match should be his last match. His most memorable match should be his last match. And obviously, you don't want it to be memorable because of something that happened with him and Goldberg at Saudi Arabia. I can understand him wanting to do something different with that. It's just going to be really interesting. This was just one of those episodes that really hits you harder than you expected. It's not like a podcast where you're just sitting down, you're listening to guys just talking to each other about this stuff. No, this is literally Undertaker saying, this is what happened. This is one of the things that, it's part of my life, and I want to share it with you. And there's so many people are saying, this is weird, because you don't see Undertaker actually sharing so much. He's usually just the guy who's just in the shadows. He's just lurking. He's waiting to find the next morsel just to strike and pick up. Now he's actually kind of stripping that layer away, and we're seeing Mark Calloway. So, in honesty, I'm looking forward to seeing how this series goes. This already had great reviews from so many different newsletters and newspapers, and I definitely see why. It was worth the hype, and it's worth the time.
Oh, absolutely. I was moved, and I'm going to admit here, I got a little weepy, especially did you ever hear this? There's an instrumental piano version that Jim Johnson did. As soon as that started playing, I got a bit weepy, I'll admit here, but it's a beautiful piece of. I'm going to turn it off before. I had the crosses thing here, but I'm just going to sideberg that later. But as you guys all know, Taker is probably number 3, number 4 all time for me. And Taker was one of the first things I remember watching in wrestling and just being enthralled by this character, by this invincible, godlike zombie of a man. And I don't want to go deep into this, but a lot of people were complaining about his t-shirt. I'm not going to talk about it. If you know what the t-shirt is, you and I can talk off air, because if you're going to judge a guy on that, then fuck you. It's controversial, but seriously, whatever. That might get me some flack because I don't understand what Blue Lives are, but that's just, we're not getting political here. This is not the time or place to do it. But if you're going to judge him on that, just give your head a shake. Just the whole thing. I didn't know a lot of his pain. When Michelle was hey, he's in pain here, he's in pain there. And I'll admit that I'm glad that 32 wasn't his last match, 33, whatever year it was with Roman. Because I remember also being very upset at the end of that and emotional, because I thought that was the end for him too. I was, let's see, if that was, I was wasted at the end of that WrestleMania too. Because WrestleManias are so long that I just start drinking.
Right.
And then by the end of it, I'm just my tweets get progressively worse. My worst one was Taker Shane, because that was a long event in its own. And then when I got to Taker Shane, I'm just holy shit! Okay, I'm gonna put my phone down now. It was bad. I was not privy to all the pain that he was in. I knew he had surgeries and that he was training, and give him credit for working his ass off to get from, was it Reigns to, I think he took a year off there, and then he went to beating up John Cena, except not the OC, but
Right.
And I love that they're digging into Mark Calloway, because, we haven't seen this. We've seen Undertaker compilation DVDs when it's just here's the Undertaker at Survivor Series 1990. Here's the Undertaker changing up his gimmick in 2000. Here's him hanging out with the troops. And then here's him being dead again. And then when we watch things like the Hall of Fame, he's not there. That, or he's purposely not shown on camera, or he's always watching backstage to protect his mystique, if you will. That's something I kind of want to hear about at the end of his career. And I found it admirable that he's like, hey, I want to retire on my terms. Because he's not satisfied with that Roman match. Quite frankly, neither was I. That match sucked. It shouldn't have main evented, I'll say. I don't know what the title matches were on that show, but that's neither here nor there. There's another Dusty Dave shout out. The Goldberg thing, I will never forgive Goldberg for that move. Because not only did it almost kill Taker, this is the selfish thing, but at Comic-Con, I was supposed to meet Taker, and because of that fucking Saudi show, his appearance got pushed from the Saturday to the Sunday when I was already back home here, and I only had Friday and Saturday booked to go to Comic-Con. I was given Sunday off, thankfully, and it was also nice because my mother was visiting when I got back, so it was cool. Just that Saudi match, and the fact that he's like, no, I want to redeem myself, admirable. I loved it. They should have gave a trigger warning for that hip surgery because that was disgusting. That was right up there with friggin' Ciampa's neck surgery that looked like my back surgery. Just warn us next time, Vince. Jeepers. And this is the funny thing. What I thought was weird, and I think it was Balor Club guy that brought this up. In the boardroom, Vince is wearing a Taz shirt, like the 13.
Jeez.
Which I thought was funny, and I'm sitting here, I'm wearing a Taker shirt, and I was like, when we were just describing that thing, I was getting a bit emotional, but I'm just like, the day he actually retires, I might have to take a day off work, because I'll be bawling. I'll just be so sad.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who has a special place in my heart as well, because, to be quite honest, the year that he debuted with the company was when I actually was born. So that's one of those things where it kind of ties into that, where now it's kind of like, sentimental, to where it's like, my years kind of match his career in WWE. And that's why he's, very special to me. And another thing that's really special to me is the legendary tag team of the Road Warriors. And the Dark Side of the Ring did a special this past week talking about the Road Warriors and the rise and fall of that duo. In all honesty, I know that they did that. I know WWE did a DVD about that years ago. But I remember this series, this episode was just so hard to get through because we knew what the end result was going to be, but you see what causes these events to happen, where they talk about how the two of them were kind of just starting to do like they were like bouncers at bars. They were just doing that kind of stuff, and then they got into wrestling. They got off pretty well together, but also Hawk was dealing with a lot of demons. He was dealing with a lot of addiction as far as alcohol, drug abuse, just being kind of like the party guy of the group, where Animal was kind of the guy who was trying to be a little bit more respectful of his body, to put in like layman's terms. He wanted to be the guy that was responsible, and unfortunately, because of Hawk's actions, it did cost him big time when it came to that match at SummerSlam 90. I can't remember which one it was. 92.
Yep, that match. Hawk and the British Bulldog. This is just from what I've heard from shoot interviews or from Bret Hart's book. Him and the Bulldog were both out smoking crack before the event, and there's a famous line, and this is just going to lead into a cheap plug of the Cultaholic Classic SmackDown and Raw review. On the SmackDown side of things, Matthew Gregg of Botchamania fame and Tom Campbell, they're in the midst of 2000. So they've been bringing up the comeback of British Bulldog. And there's this famous line where at the start of the match, Wembley is screaming, 85,000 fellow Englishmen in Wembley in England. And Bulldog goes to is like, I'm fucked. And Bret had to carry him through that match. Looking at it, you can't really tell. Maybe on his face, you can tell Bulldog was kind of wasted. But watching Hawk in that Money Inc. match was an abomination because you can tell he was intoxicated. And we've been through this. I mean, when you did your, 5 years of, last year when you had all, your favorites, you were breaking down every week?
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, and we both landed on having the Road Warriors in common as our favorite tag teams. Still to this day, I mean, for me too. But that episode, I mean, it's not going to be hard as next week. I mean, we'll get into that. But I mean, I loved Hawk, and I remember watching they showed that clip of Confidential, and there was a little blurb there. Hawk and HBK both gave their lives to Christ at about the same time. And he remembers them, I guess they were at an altar call or something, and he remembers maybe there was the same event. I don't know, but Animal was like, hey, I remember him and Sean just crying like babies when they gave their lives to Christ, and being Christian myself, I found it rather admirable. And even Hawk was just like, I want to make sure I'm okay when I die, kind of thing that they were talking about him in an interview. I think that was on the Road Warriors DVD, but I mentioned this on my Instagram and on my Twitter that last year at Niagara Falls Comic Con, I met Animal, and I wore, for a picture, I wore Hawk's pads. I mean, it was just like a pair of Coho pads with spikes on it, but still, that was good. It's Hawk. It's the spikes. And me, I'm like, for a second, I was 12 years old, and I had a brief conversation with Animal. I mean, we brought up his son. He's whatever his name was, Laurinaitis, who played in the NFL. And I was like, hey, how's your son? How's his football career going? And I'm just like, I know he's playing. He's like, oh, he's retired, and he's like an analyst on Fox now. And I think that's cool, man. And then I just told him how much the LOD meant to me. For years and years, they are my favorite. And one of the things I loved about it, Animal was wearing an Umaga shirt. I mean, nice. that is class. And I'm liking a nice shirt too. So yeah, Animal was so cool, and just how much the LOD meant to me as a kid, because they were one of the first things I watched as a kid. And when I went to rent wrestling tapes at the hardware store, one of them was SummerSlam 92. One of them was SummerSlam 90 when we first saw the LOD feud with Demolition. And I loved how the special, it included Barry Darce, so, Repo Man Smash, Ellering and Animal. And when they were talking about Ellering driving the original van to the funeral, there, I was gone right there. And then he was walking up to the friggin' coffin and just saying that poem that he did. Yeah, that's when it got me, just... And his brother, who is the spitting image of him, my God. When the brothers lost it, I almost lost it. Next week, man. Yeah. I don't want to think about it yet.
Yeah. So definitely, guys, if you get a chance, check out the Dark Side of the Rings episodes. They are definitely very eye-opening, and they're also very just heartfelt. Honestly, just heart-pulling when you think about it, because they've gone through a lot of people. They've gone through Bruiser Brody. They've gone through the Von Erichs, which, in all honesty, I thought I wasn't even going to make it through the entire episode. I think there came a point where it's like, this is just too much for me. But I thought, you got to press on. You got to understand this fully. And at the end, the Von Erich name definitely has more meaning to me than it ever has in the past, because now you understand where they come from, what they've had to deal with, everything that they've had. It's amazing. And the same thing goes for everybody else that has kind of gone through this. They talk about a lot of these classic wrestlers that unfortunately have passed on. The only one that I think there's actually only two where it makes me more infuriated than emotional, and that was probably the 2-episode one with Benoit, as well as the one with Jimmy Snuka. Those are the two ones where it just felt you felt a little more just anger after watching that, because it's one of those things where, like, how could this happen? And it's just mind jarring. And Fretz was definitely hinting on the fact about this. I thought that this would be something that would make a lot of sense for us to do. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be very, very, very... It's going to be an emotional episode, I'll tell you this right now. Because I basically told him that, this person that we're going to be talking about, to him, was like Eddie Guerrero to me. So I'll give you guys the deal right now. Next week we're going to be doing our own version of an Owen Hart tribute episode, because Dark Side of the Ring is going to be discussing Owen Hart in their in their season finale episode, actually. So I thought it would be really good to do an episode where we talk about the life and times of Owen Hart, talk positively about him. I've already asked Fretz to give me lists of matches, and honestly, you gave me like a lot. It's almost like a book that you could write on how many matches you've given me, and I'm going to watch every single one of these matches that he's suggested to me. I'm already watching Owen Hart versus Edge, to which I'm just like, this is tough because it's two Canadians, but it's two awesome Canadians that are in the Hall of Fame. Well,
and it took place in Canada. It took place in Hamilton.
It's like a major triple threat. It's amazing. So that's what's going on next week for the Game Changer podcast. So definitely break out the tissues and be prepared to have your hearts touched, because, like I said, we're talking about Owen next week. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal, and it's going to be something that I am looking forward to hear, because here's the thing about it, is that I've usually been doing the reigns when talking about this. This is going to be a Fretz deal. This is going to be all him. He's definitely got a special place in Fretz's heart. He deserves to do that. So definitely tune into that. As far as Wrestle Addict Radio goes, we know that next week also the Kings of the Rings will have those wrestling gals who we have been talking about so very highly will be a part of their show. In all honesty, it is going to be one of those things where it's going to be interesting because, let's face it, Ricky and Will, you're going to be outnumbered. I'm just stating that right now. Now you're going to know how I felt when I interviewed SoCal Val, Melina, and Victoria. Welcome to hell. But before we head off, you guys, it's only fair that we do our little bit of your cheap plugs, because why the hell not? Fretz, I know that on the Twitter they can find you at the legendary JF, but what else have you got going on in the next week or so?
Well, I'm just going to say this. I mean, those of us on Wrestle Addict Radio are already aware of this, but I'm just going to say this. Mm-hmm. On May 19th,
it's happening again.
Just watch my Twitter feed. Watch my Anchor.fm feed at anchor.fm/Fretzelmania. That's FRETZLE Mania. And the Patreon feed. That's all I'm going to say. And I would really love your input on it. And that includes you, Nate. That's all I'm going to say about that. Coming up in the next little while, I have watched Judgment Day 2000. I have watched a review of Slamboree 2000 because I'm not sitting through that dreck.
Oh boy!
So the 20 bell salute for the month of May, going through May 2000's movies, TV, video games, and wrestling, will be coming out sometime. It's a Victoria Day weekend up here, so I'm not going to have a lot of time to record. I'm going to be working probably 40 hours this weekend alone, so I will be on my toes a lot. So no recording for that, but it'll be out by the end of the month. That's all I'm going to say. Next month is King of the Ring, and I might, if I can afford it, I might have the King of the Ring winner do a cameo. Because he's expensive. He's 150 Canadian dollars. So it might cost me something. If I can do it, I'll do it. Because I had Tommy Dreamer last month, but he was cheap. He was only $40. Swoggle's like $10. I have that going on, and if I can give you guys, I know like Nate loves to give you some podcasts to recommend. I'm going to give you guys some as well. The Laser Time Network, I've told you about them before, where they do the Laser Time 30-20-10. After the Bell, for the most part, is a good episode. And our good friends, the Ruthless Aggression podcast, might have a new episode coming out soon. But also, our similar, let's call them their brother podcast, the other Ruthless Pod, the RA Era podcast from across the pond with Dave and Mike over in England, David Burnham and Big Sexy. They are doing they just did Judgment Day 2004 and what they call the Barge to Bad Blood. So they're talking Bad Blood 2004, which sucked. So I'm looking forward to that. Who else have I got? New Day Pod. Ricky, thank you. Thank you for getting me into the New Days podcast. It's so funny. And if I could I'll give Dusty Dave a shout out because he has a podcast too with our good brother DFDC Jeff Palmaccio, the Crossroads podcast, KROSS Rhodes as in Cody Rhodes. They have a deal too, so I'm going to give them the shout out. I mean, they were part of our network, but to me, they're still my friends. They're still our friends. Oh, yeah. So let's going to give them some love too. I think that's about it for cheap plugs. So hey, folks, May 19th, just watch. That's all I'm going to say. By the time you wake up May 19th, there'll be something on my Anchor feed. And you will enjoy it, I hope, because I had a lot of fun recording it.
It's going to be definitely something to behold, and I definitely will be giving my input in. Well, not my input, my review on that, probably the day that it comes out. So I'll definitely listen to it, man. It sounds like it's going to be absolutely amazing. As far as cheap plugs for me, I definitely already mentioned, of course, my Twitter deal at NateFNGreat, as well as to check out the Wrestle Radio deal, where us at the Game Changer podcast, the Young Lions Perspective and the Kings of the Rings, we do podcasts there. It's absolutely awesome. Definitely check out our t-shirts and our merchandise at teesprings.com because it's absolutely amazing. I'm very happy with the fact that we got so much great merch, and in all honesty, I will say this, I was the one who thought of the idea of having kid stuff, so for those of you that are curious, it was my idea. I should get all the royalties. I'm just saying. As far as what you can expect from me, I did do an remake or rewrite for the Inspector Gadget live action deal. In all honesty, I think I'm pretty proud of that. It's one of those things that needed to be done, and I definitely talk about, the positives and the negatives of how I felt about the original movie, as well as do a rewrite of how I would do it. And like I said, if it gets up to, I believe it was 30 listens, I'll do a sequel to it. If it gets to 100 listens, then I will do the trilogy. I do know that I want to work on a new project, a new rewrite for it, involving Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because in all honesty, I've watched all those movies this week, and where Temple of the Doom was just flat out weird and had some annoying characters, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was just like, what? I'm just scratching my head and also thinking to myself, why is Shia LaBeouf here? Why is there aliens? Why am I asking these many questions in an Indiana Jones movie? It was just weird. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening in. Definitely check us out in the future. Definitely check out our Patreon. So much great content, you guys. Thank you so much for your support, for your love. We will talk to you in the next episode. And just remember that take it one day at a time. You can make a difference. Be safe out there. Be smart. And also, don't be a dumbass.
Go get your bottle opener.
They say there are tons of wrestling podcasts out there, and you can definitely find one that fits you. Quite frankly, truer words have never been said. Be that as it may,
Please be aware that we here at Wrestle Addict Radio are about to embark on a conscious effort to open the creative envelope, so to speak, in order to entertain you in a more contemporary and much more educated manner. Even though we call ourselves a wrestling podcast network, the keyword in that phrase is wrestling. Wrestling extends far beyond the confines of WWE and AEW, to name a few. Wrestling takes many forms, from the intergender moments going on in Impact Wrestling, to the nostalgia going on in NWA, to the creativity and the hard-hitting explosiveness that occurs over in New Japan Pro Wrestling. You can clearly see that wrestling is a place for everyone. We at Wrestle Addict Radio feel that you, the wrestling podcast listener, are quite frankly sick and tired of getting your intelligence insulted. We also think that you're tired of a simplistic reasoning of WWE is way too mainstream and AEW is for the marks, just to name a few as an example. We know that you, the wrestling podcast listener, are tired of having your opinions made fun of and ridiculed on big social media platforms like Twitter and Reddit. Surely the idea, reasoning, and lack of logic behind statements such as, "This sucks and I don't like it because I said so," is definitely passé. Therefore, we here at Wrestle Addict Radio have embarked on a far more innovative and contemporary creative campaign that is far more invigorating and extemporaneous than ever before. You see, we are responsible wrestling podcasters that work hard to bring you the outrageous, wacky, and wonderful world known as wrestling. Wrestling is for everyone, no matter what race, creed, gender, sexuality, and anything else that you identify as. Wrestling, if done correctly, is a unifying bond where we can all celebrate and collectively suspend our disbelief, if only for a moment in time, for the sake of enjoying ourselves and the enjoyment of everyone around us. This does not mean that we will always agree. Quite frankly, disagreement is a positive thing. It gives us an avenue and an outlet to learn about someone else's perspective, which might in turn challenge us to rethink our own. As divisive as our community can be at times, we have the power to make a positive change, and we here at Wrestle Addict Radio look forward to becoming the leaders in that change. If this is your first time listening to us, then welcome to a positive wrestling community. If you have listened to us before, then thank you for your continued support. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is King Ricky Rose, your general manager of Wrestle Addict Radio, the cure for the common wrestling podcast.